Well, today I think I'm going to speak about what I posted earlier was the duality of empaths. But before I get into that, I think there's something that would give you light in terms of how you approach the balance of being an empath. And even though uh, many of you are not aware of it, I hope by the end of this video you at least question the gifts that you have. But let's start, like I said, with um, ancestral curses, ancestral misalignments, meaning a lot of the things that we're suffering from are things that our ancestors suffered from. And that means that it's really common sense to me. If I have a lot of people in my ancestry that were put in the ground angry, I'm more susceptible to be angry. A resolved spirit. Once an ancestor dies, it's everyone's responsibility that they go into the ground in peace. You do this for your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, because it's like, hey, we got one for the team. Someone went into the ground and they were at peace. They were okay. Many of us were not put in the ground in peace, and so you have that level of anger in you, or anxiety, or fear, or what have you. And so, how do you approach that if it's a DNA thing? And if you're at that level where you realize that, not to take any responsibility off of you at all, but you realize that your particular issue is peppered around your nucleus family, like a lot of people have that issue in your family. And so, what I had to do, and I usually use my personal experience because that's how I kind of went with my journey. I didn't really require to read a lot of books or things like that. I did for reference, but I had to figure out my key. And so, in figuring out my key, I ended up figuring out, a path for many because my past experience, although in the New Age spectrum, is not exposed enough, but kind of okay because now I'm here to do it. Maybe I have to do it right. So anyway, so how I approach these ancestral curses or misalignments was I started to love myself. I started to love myself because an ancestral curse or misalignment always starts with lack of love for oneself. And out of that, so many other things come out. Isms and addictions and all that stuff comes out of that. So I started to love myself. It was very difficult because I was coming from a line of people who actually really didn't love themselves when they passed. So the fight that I was fighting, and like many of you will fight, will be every day, every day, every day. It gets better. It's more rewarding. It's not easy. But being an empath and going through your first phase of where the veil is kind of placed over your eyes in terms of um, giving and receiving, and you give too much and you hurt yourself. So it's also a spring back in towards loving yourself as well. So I hope I haven't lost a lot of you in this conversation. I really have not. Hope not. I haven't lost you. So, and if I have, come back because ask me questions because a lot of this is about a frequency and a level thing, and I'm planting seeds for many, and other people I'm watering the plant. So um, it's an evolution of information. It's the evolution of information. That's what a light worker is emitting. It's an evolution of information. The information is not just coming from a book. It's not just coming from a lecture. It's not just coming from a retreat. It's coming from the experience of the person and the knowledge that the person has to bring. Now, I generally work in healing, and so I'm going to really understand more about empaths because I understand energy and I understand cleansing. When people work with me, the first thing that they learn is how to cleanse. because you can't have a dirty tool and expect to see the light all the time. You know, sometimes you see the dark because your tool is dirty. And what I mean by the dark, I don't mean like the evil creatures coming up to get you. It's just that we're in a world that's filled, just like any other world, just like any other organism. There are many other organisms, there are many other energies around us. And so, being an empath, being very sensitive, and I want to say, I don't really want to say sensitive because sensitive is not what it is. Being very clear, a clear being. You know, we attract those that are unclear. It's a balance. This is duality. It's light and dark. You know, and when you accept that, which is, it takes a moment. It takes a moment when you accept that you have to have light and dark. You have to have up and down. You have to have balance. We're trying to strike the balance. One can't separate from the other. And so empaths do have to go through that duality. And depending on your support or you, really, because it's really all about you. The service that we're providing is evolving us at the same time. So um, you have to make sure that you take care of your tool. And I'll talk more on the empathic lifestyle. And I have these techniques that I teach people that are day-to-day techniques. I'm a guy that needs to know, how do I get my people day-to-day? They're not going to go to a retreat. They can't leave. Like, what can I do right now? And I found a lot of the answers. A lot of the answers I found because I was suffering with the same thing. And so these are the ways that I've learned to stay in balance. These are the ways that I've learned to go into a room and not let the room, when you go into a room as an empath, not let the room affect you. You affect it. Love yourself. Light is bright. When you love yourself, your light is bright and it moves things. You're going into a room, you're not really loving yourself to them, and it's not ego. It's just like, you know what, I love myself right now. I'm going to watch the universe love me. I'm going to shine bright. And it's not a whole bunch of running your mouths, and it's not a whole bunch of, demonstrative behavior or extraness. What it is, it comes from within. It comes from within. And you've had that feeling before. You know what it is. You had it as a kid. And so now you have to use it as an adult. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I guess I'm going to do some more of these videos. I like them. So, peace.